In today's lecture, we will study integumentary system. The integumentary system consists of skin and its appendages. Skin is formed by two layers. The outer or superficial layer of the skin is known as epidermis, and its deeper layer is known as dermis. The appendages of the skin develop from epidermis, and they include hair and hair follicles, then the sweat gland and sebaceous glands, nails and mammary gland. Skin forms the outer covering of our body, including external acoustic meatus and tympanic membrane. Skin is the largest organ of our body and it constitutes about 15 to 20% of total body weight. Histologically, the skin has two layers. As you can see in the diagram, the outer or the superficial avascular layer is known as epidermis and it is lined by stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. It develops from ectoderm. And the deeper layer is vascular. It is made up of connective tissue. It is known as dermis. It develops from mesoderm. The dermis is again having two layers, papillary layer and reticular layer. Beneath the dermis, we have the subcutaneous fascia or hypodermis. Histologically, we can divide the skin into two types, thick skin and thin skin. So the thick skin is one in which the epidermis is thicker, specifically the stratum corneum, that is outermost layer of the epidermis, is thickest, and it is also known as glabrous skin, and the thick skin does not have hair, and the thick skin is located in the skin of palm and sole. We can feel the skin is so thick in palm and sole, so it is devoid of hair. Then the second variety is thin skin or hairy skin. Here the epidermis is thin and it shows presence of hair. So the outer covering or the entire skin covering all parts of our body except palm and sole consists of thin skin, including the scalp. So the scalp and the entire skin covering of our body is thin skin except palm and sole. Skin has many functions. It is very important organ as the keratin layer over the skin prevents water loss from the body. It prevents dehydration and it maintains osmotic balance. The skin forms outer covering of the entire body, so it protects the body from microorganisms. Then the melanin pigment of the skin protects the skin from hazardous ultraviolet rays. The skin also helps in synthesizing vitamin D, that is endocrinal function of the skin. It secretes hormones, cytokines, growth factors that convert the precursors into hormonally active molecules and thus help in synthesis of vitamin D. Then it has an important role in thermoregulation as it prevents water loss, or during sweating when the sweat is excreted, when there is heat, then it will make the body cool, so it helps in thermoregulation. And then it is sensory organ as we can feel the touch, pressure, temperature and pain. We know the special sense organs are eyes, nose, ear, tongue and skin. So it is one of the special sense organ and it helps in feeling of pressure, touch, temperature and pain. Then the individual person can be identified, especially in medico-legal cases, with the help of fingerprints and dermatoglyphics, which is very peculiar for each individual. So we can identify the individual by their fingerprints and dermatoglyphics. Then it imparts immunity. The Langerhans cells of the dermis are antigen presenting cells and they help in imparting immunity. So this is the list of functions of skin. Epidermis is the outer or superficial layer of the skin. It is lined by stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. So in this diagram you can make out all the 5 layers of epidermis. So if you start from the base, there is stratum basal, then stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. So these are the 5 layers of the epidermis. The first 3 layers, starting from the basal part, means stratum basal, stratum spinosum, and stratum granulosum. These 3 layers are known as stratum malphizi or germinative layer because the cells are alive and they are mitotically active. They divide from the stem cells to mature cells. So the first 3 layers are germinative layer, whereas the superficial 2 layer, means at the surface, there is horny zone. Horny zone consists of flattened non-nucleated dead cells which are filled with keratin. So let us focus on the deepest layer of the skin, that is stratum basal or stratum germinatum. So you can see in the diagram also, the stratum basal is deepest layer of epidermis and it serves as stem cell. It is mitotically active and the cells in stratum basal are low columnar or there is single layer of cuboidal cell. So it consists of single layer of cuboidal cells that rest on basement membrane and they are connected with the basement membrane by hemidesmosomes. Histologically, when you see on the low part, the nucleus is euchromatic, cytoplasm is basophilic, and also you can see melanocyte cells. So melanin pigment is seen in stratum basal. Then the function of this layer is the cells divide mitotically to give rise to keratinocytes, that is cells of the skin, and it forms a superficial layer of the skin. Hence, stratum basal is also known as stratum germinative. Just above the stratum basal, there are several layers of thick stratum spinosum. The stratum spinosum is formed by keratinocytes. Keratinocytes are the cells of the skin which are polygonal in shape and they are connected by desmosomes. Histologically, the cytoplasm is basophilic in stratum spinosum and it is filled with the bundles of keratin filaments. Then again we should know that stratum spinosum is known as spinosum or prickle cell because of an artifact. The keratinocytes are adherent with each other by desmosomes, we know, and during the routine staining procedure the cells will shrink and the site where the cells are attached or adherent with the desmosomes, there at that site it creates spine-like appearance. So it creates spines over the surface of cell at the site of desmosomes. Hence it is known as stratum spinosum or prickle cells. Some cells of the stratum spinosum can also divide mitotically. So along with stratum basal, means stratum spinosum and stratum basal together are known as germinative zone or Malpighian layer. Again, there is a term node of Bizzozero. It is important for MCQ. Node of Bizzozero is the site of thickened zone of desmosomes and these can be seen even on light microscope. Just above the stratum spinosum is the stratum granulosum. Stratum granulosum consists of 1 to 3 layers of cells of keratinocyte. The cells of stratum granulosum contains membrane-bound laminated bodies that are loaded with granules of keratohyalin protein. Hence, this layer is known as stratum granulosum. The keratohyalin is precursor of filaggrin protein, and the filaggrin protein helps in aggregation. It is the aggregation form of keratin filament, and on HNE staining If we see under light microscope, the cells of stratum granulosum are intensely basophilic due to presence of keratohyalin granules, and the nucleus is pycnotic and it is well formed in thick skin, and this layer is waterproof layer. So stratum granulosum is more pronounced or it is more well formed in the thick skin. Then the fourth layer is stratum lucidum. Lucid means clear. So stratum lucidum is present only in thick skin. Note that stratum lucidum is absent in thin skin. It is present only in thick skin. On HNE staining, the cells of stratum lucidum are stained lightly with eosin and they appear homogeneous. The cell boundaries are indistinct. The nuclei of the cell organelles become disrupted and they disappear towards the superficial layer. Stratum corneum is the most superficial layer or the fifth layer or outermost avascular non-nucleated layer of epidermis. The cells of the stratum corneum are non-nucleated. It has flattened cells. They are scale-like in appearance. That's why these are squamous cells. They are dead cells. They do not have nucleus or cell organelles in them. The cells of stratum corneum are filled with keratin filament and it is embedded in filaggrin proteins. These cells are held together by extracellular lipid and carbohydrates that form a glue-like substance, and the extracellular lipids make the skin waterproof or water impermeable. The thickness of stratum corneum again depends on the amount of friction to which the skin is exposed, and stratum corneum is well marked or it is more pronounced or distinctly seen in thick skin of palm and sole. The superficial cells of stratum corneum are constantly being shed off and they are constantly replaced by the cells proliferating from the stratum germinatum. The mean turnover time of entire epidermis, that is transit time from stratum basal, means when the cells are mitotically dividing and they are migrating from stratum basal to the superficial most layer of stratum corneum. The mean time taken for this entire epidermis is about 45 days and the minimum transit time is about 14 days. There is a condition known as psoriasis. In this psoriasis, the turnover rate, which is normally about 45 days, in psoriasis it is rapid, as low as 8 days. So within 8 days the cells will proliferate in stratum basal and they will reach the stratum corneum. So the cell surface do not keratinize properly and the protective barrier is not developed properly in psoriasis. Then there is another term, specialized apoptosis. As we know, there is differentiation of epithelial cells from stratum basal. So the cells in stratum basal exhibit typical apoptic nuclear morphology and it includes fragmentation of the DNA. So the cells are filled with keratin later when they are sloughed off from the skin surface, that is on the stratum corneum, and this is known as specialized apoptosis. In our previous slides, we have studied the superficial avascular layer of skin, that is epidermis. Now we will study the deeper layer of the skin, that is lying just below the epidermis. It is known as dermis. Dermis is made up of connective tissue containing collagen bundles. It is vascular, it has blood vessels, lymphatics and nerve fibers. The dermis is again divided into two layers, papillary layer and reticular layer. So we can see in the diagram the finger-like projections known as dermal papillae. So that is the papillary layer lying just beneath the epidermis. So papillary layer lies just deep to the basal lamella of epidermis. It has mainly loose connective tissue. It forms finger-like projections or papillae just under the epidermis, and these projections are known as dermal papillae. Epidermis also protrudes into the dermis and it forms epidermal ridges or retiridges. So the dermal papillae and epidermal ridges, they are longer in the skin where mechanical stress is more. For example, the skin of palm and sole or the dorsum of the hand. Here we can see the dermal papillae and epidermal ridges, they are more pronounced. The dermal papillae create superficial elevation pattern on the surface of epidermis and it is known as dermal ridges. The pattern of dermal ridges is unique for every individual. For each and every individual, the dermal ridges have unique pattern and it is identified genetically. So we can identify an individual person with the help of dermatoglyphics or fingerprint pattern from the basis. It forms the basis for study of many genetic disorders. For example, in Down syndrome, we have the simian crease. With the help of transmission electron microscope, we can visualize the hemidesmosomes attaching stratum basal of epidermis with the basal lamella. And when we do immunohistochemistry study, we can visualize the papillary layer of dermis. It mainly contains type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers. So it is important for MCQs. The papillary layer of dermis has type 1 and type 3 variety of collagen fibers. Again, we know that the epidermis is avascular. It does not have blood vessels in it and it receives nutrition by diffusion, whereas in the papillary layer we have blood vessels, so it is vascular layer. The blood vessels of papillary layer do not penetrate the epidermis, but the nerve innervations in the papillary layer may terminate in stratum basal of epidermis. Just beneath the papillary layer we have reticular layer. So the reticular layer of dermis lies deep to the papillary layer. It is thicker and it is less cellular compared to papillary layer. The reticular layer consists of thick irregular bundles of type 1 collagen fiber. It has few elastic fibers and this layer nourishes the hair follicles. It has sweat glands, sebaceous glands. It is interesting to know few terms like panniculus adiposus. What is panniculus adiposus? Deep to the reticular layer of the dermis, there is a layer of adipose tissue. It serves as major energy storage and it provides insulation, and this layer is associated with loose connective tissue constituents, and this panniculus adiposus forms the hypodermis or subcutaneous fascia, and where it is present just deep to the reticular layer of dermis. Then there is another term known as panniculus carnosus. So it is a thin layer of striated or we can say voluntary or skeletal muscle. So here striated muscles are present deep to subcutaneous fascia. Normally when you do the dissection, you have seen first you remove the skin, then superficial fascia, then comes the deep fascia, and then you can visualize the muscles. But in panniculus carnosus, the stratified muscles are present deep to the subcutaneous fascia, and it is seen in human beings in the skin of face, neck and scalp. So all the facial muscles, then in the neck platysma, in the scalp we have fronto-occipitalis. These are all examples of panniculus carnosus and they are present just beneath the subcutaneous fascia. You can briefly go through this slide in which we have tabulated the important differences between thick skin and thin skin. So we will revise it. Stratum lucidum is absent in thin skin. It is present only in thick skin. Then the epidermal ridges are present in the thick skin, that is skin of the sole and palm, and we cannot see epidermal ridges in the thin skin. Hair follicles are present only in thin skin. Erector pylorus muscle is seen in thin skin. Sebaceous glands are present in thin skin. So the pilosebaceous unit is present only in thin skin. It is not seen in thick skin. Then the sensory receptors are present more in the thick skin compared to the thin skin. And the thick skin is present where? In the skin of the palm and sole is an example of thick skin, and rest of the skin is thin skin. There are 4 types of cells in the epidermis. They are keratinocytes, melanocytes, Langerhans cells and Merkel cells. So you can see all these 4 types of cells in the diagram. So most abundant, about 85% of the cells of the skin are keratinocytes. Keratinocyte constitutes approximately 85% of the cells of skin. So these are most predominant cells. The germinal cells of stratum basal divide mitotically and they give rise to keratinocyte. And the major function of these cells include production of keratin and formation of epidermal water barrier. The deeper layer of keratinocytes are basophilic due to presence of rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it is required for synthesis of keratin. Keratin is a protein, and for protein synthesis we need rough endoplasmic reticulum. The keratin assembles to form keratin filaments or tonofilaments or intermediate filaments, and these keratin filaments form a bundle of tonofibrils in the superficial layer of keratinocyte, and these superficial cells do not have nuclei or cell organelle in them. They are dead cells. These cells give acidophilic or eosinophilic appearance. So the deeper layer of keratinocyte is basophilic due to presence of rough endoplasmic reticulum, whereas the superficial layer of keratinocyte is eosinophilic because it has no cell organelles in them. The appearance of keratohyalin granules and its associated protein, that is filaggrin, is a clinical marker for initiation of apoptosis. And where these keratohyalin granules are present, they are present in stratum granulosum. Then also you should know the term keratinization. What is keratinization? Keratinocyte synthesizes keratohyalin granules. Later these keratohyalin granules will release keratin filaments in cytoplasm, and the keratin filaments will get aggregated with the help of filaggrin, and this process is known as keratinization. Then the lamellars of stratum spinosum provides ovoid membrane-bound organelles. They are called lamellar bodies, and these bodies contain more amount of lipids in them, and it is released in extracellular space, and the lipids get involved in formation of epidermis, or it forms the epidermal water barrier, and it acts as a glue to hold keratinocyte. So throughout the slide what we have studied, the keratinocytes are synthesized by stratum basal and they are present in all the layers, but there is a difference in the keratinocytes present in all the layers. So what is the difference? We will revise again. In the superficial layer it is acidophilic because it has no nucleus, no cell organelles, so it is acidophilic and it has dead cells. In stratum granulosum we have the lamellar bodies that are filled with granules and they are associated with protein filaggrin. synthesizes the keratohyalin granules. It is clinical marker of apoptosis. And the keratohyalin, again, it is a protein, so more amount of rough endoplasmic reticulum is there. So in stratum granulosum, the keratinocytes are basophilic. In stratum spinosum, again, we have lamellar bodies which have more amount of lipid, and it helps in formation of water barrier. So the keratin, in the keratinocyte there is keratin. So what is this keratin? It is tough fibrous protein that resists chemicals. It prevents water loss. It maintains osmotic balance. It protects the deeper structures from microorganisms. Second type of cell present in epidermis is melanocyte. Melanocytes are derived from neural crest cells, and they are present in stratum basal. You can see in the diagram that brown cell is melanocyte and it is present in stratum basal. The melanocyte mainly contains a pigment that forms membrane-bound organelle known as melanosome, and it is derived from Golgi apparatus. The melanocytes show dendritic processes arising from a round cell, and it is attached to the basement membrane by hemidesmosome. The processes of melanocyte run between the keratinocytes, and the function of melanocyte is to synthesize melanin, which is excreted through exocytosis. And where it is exocytosed, it is exocytosed in the non-melanin producing cells through the cell process. The melanin exists again in two forms: eumelanin, that is dark brown in color, and pheomelanin, it is reddish in color. And there are many clinical conditions related to absence of melanocyte. So let us see some of them. Now we are coming to the applied importance of the melanocytes. Okay, so first is albinism. So when there is total depigmentation of the skin, it is known as albinism. It is autosomal recessive disorder, and it is related with agenesis of enzyme tyrosinase. When there is localized depigmentation, it is known as vitiligo. Again, when the clusters of melanocytes are formed, high density clusters of melanocytes are formed, it is known as moles. And the malignancies related to melanoma are malignant melanomas, and they are treated surgically. Then we commonly use the term tanning. So if there is exposure to the UV rays or bright sunlight for longer duration, the synthesis of melanin pigment increases and it causes darkening of the skin. It is known as tanning. Then not related to the human being, but commonly seen in the garden lizard. We know that the garden lizard can change the skin color and they can adapt the color of surrounding medium, and it is done to protect themselves from enemy. Then we can also see increased melanin synthesis and related pigmentation in pregnancy. So during pregnancy there can occur pigmentation of the face, areola, nipple due to increased level of estrogen and progesterone, and it is permanent. The next variety of cells seen in epidermis is dendritic cell or Langerhans cell. It is also known as antigen presenting cell of dermis. It is primarily related to immune response. So these cells are involved in detecting, binding, presenting the exogenous antigen to T lymphocyte, and it helps to clear the microorganisms, may it be virus, bacteria, parasite, or even the epidermal cancers. They arise from lymphoid precursor cells of bone marrow, and they are located in the stratum spinosum of skin. Also they are found in oral mucosa, vagina and thymus. When we see under electron microscope, these Langerhans cells show Langerhans bodies or Berbig's bodies. So these are elongated vacuoles and they have tennis racket shape. They are known as Berbig's bodies. The main function of Langerhans cell is phagocytosis. They phagocytose the bacteria and present the bacterial antigen to T lymphocyte, and thus the Langerhans cell come under mononuclear phagocytic system. When the Langerhans cells undergo malignant transformation, they are known as histiocytosis X. It is a group of immune disorder, and these cells are responsible for delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction. In AIDS patient, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, in these patients the Langerhans cells may show HIV virus. They act as a reservoir for HIV virus, and when the Langerhans cells are misdirected, they may produce allergic contact dermatitis. They may cause graft rejection. Again, you should know that the cornea does not have Langerhans cell, and that's why there is minimum graft rejection in cornea. The corneal grafts are successful because there is absence of Langerhans cell in them. And wherever more amount of Langerhans cells are there, the possibility of graft rejection is more. Then it also results, means when there is misdirected Langerhans cell, it results in epidermal carcinomas. So absence of Langerhans cell in the cornea results in successful grafting. Coming to the blood supply, nerve supply of the skin. So there are many arterial plexuses in the skin. There is deep plexus of blood vessels in the deep fascia. Then under the dermis we have reticutaneum or retiplexus. Then one or more plexus are seen under the dermal papillae. They are known as retisubpapillar or papillary plexus. Then we have the capillary loops. There are numerous arteriovenous anastomosis in the skin. Though the epidermis is avascular, the blood vessels and their plexuses are found in the dermis. Then the nerve supply, there are numerous sensory end organs, sensory nerve endings, like there are free nerve endings, then there are sensory receptors like Meissner's corpuscles, Pacinian corpuscles, Raffin's corpuscles, and these are all present in the skin. They are sensory nerve endings. Then the skin is also governed by autonomic nerve, mainly the blood vessels, erector pylorus and the sweat glands. They have autonomic innervations in them.